This is Songbird, and you're watching Sky Captain 5.
We're back in Cyberpunk 2077. Just when you think the updates are done, they're not. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So we're here on Xbox Series X taking a look at update 2.21, which is sort of a start of the year update for Cyberpunk. It's mostly a bunch of hot fixes, but I thought, hey, we're taking a look at, what's new, talking about the game as of 2025, at least the start of it, and I thought this was sort of the perfect excuse and situation to dive in and, once again, take a look at Cyberpunk 2077 on Xbox Series X. So we'll be highlighting the big updates from the various releases of big updates that they've done, and talking about the game overall, and also showing off the different areas, and the world and the scope of, well, Cyberpunk 2077. So, if you're not familiar with my coverage of the game, I do have a bunch of great interviews as well on the channel, so if you want to learn more about the voice acting and everything like that behind this game, I have a plethora of different options, and I always do recommend checking those out, because I do think they are spectacular. And yeah, that'll be a comment in the video description if you want quick access to that sort of thing. So anyways, this update, as I was saying, it's mostly a hotfix update. So basically the 2.2 update, which was a big surprise because they had said very clearly that they were done updating Cyberpunk. And then, sure enough, there's another update for Cyberpunk. And they're like, this is the last update. And I was like, you said the last update was the last update. Now, that being said, this is very likely it, unless there's another little hot fix update. And I don't know if we'll necessarily check that out. But I just did want to get across the situation here where it's mostly this is fixing like photo type issues, where like photos and stuff that you took were not presenting or displaying properly within your game. It's really on Xbox too. There was a lot of little bug issues here or there in regards to, the photos, because there's a new highlighted photo mode. So this was part of the 2.2 update. Again, this is 2.21. But yeah, kind of a cool thing they did with this update where you could have like multiple kind of side characters with you. You can have them doing like poses and stuff. And then you could take a picture, and then you can have that like in your apartment or whatever. It was kind of funny, and you could have like multiple characters. It just basically, it's a quality of life update that was like, hey, now we've got more fun ways to adjust what's going on and taking photos and kind of displaying those photos. So that was kind of the big fix. And then there was some other little adjustments here or there where it was like, basically some elements of the game weren't like working perfectly, so like some quests and stuff like that. They do this all the time. They do a major update and then they do like a little bit of a hotfix or two update, and, just for anything they might have missed, and that's basically what this is. And I was like, let's tie it into a 2025 update for the game because, well, I always love a good excuse to dive in and talk about Cyberpunk because I love playing this game. I genuinely find it fantastic. I have since launch, and it's great that it is at a state where I can be like, hey, yo, you should definitely be playing this game because it's awesome. And most people now agree with me. And I think that in itself is... It's been a long journey, and it's also a special thing for me that that is now where we're at when it comes to the world of Cyberpunk 2077, which is my dream Cyberpunk world. I've always wanted a game that explores this sort of concept, and yeah, it's kind of exciting that this one actually does. It's mature, it's graphic, it's violent, it's adult, a little bit sexy at times, and it doesn't hold back on anything, which I think is amazing. And it just gives you this beautiful, expansive, exciting world that you can explore and cause mayhem in and do whatever you want in. And I think that in itself is truly, truly quite magical. So I guess we'll talk about the technical elements of the game, because I've been completely ignoring that. We've got a bunch of different graphic options, motion blur, film grain, all that stuff. And two graphical options. So for Series X, we could switch to the ray tracing mode. So this is a 4K resolution, but it's 1440p that's temporally scaled to 4K at 30 FPS, and it's got ray trace shadows, which is the most boring of all the ray tracing options out there. Just putting it out there. So it's cool that this mode exists. If you're into this mode, give it a whirl. You know, I guess it's neat, but not really my kind of thing. You do you. I prefer the performance mode, and performance is a dynamic. It's 4K, but it's a dynamic 1800p to that level, and it's 60 FPS. And there are, you know, some drops in the world, but it's relatively smooth and works relatively well. And I don't really have too many complaints about it here on Series X. I'd say it's a fine way to experience it. And Dogtown here is part of the expansion, so I do highly recommend, if you are playing Cyberpunk, to buy the main game and the expansion for the full experience, since the expansion weaves into the main game. But of course, you do you, and play it and experience it, you know, however you want to. That's really your choice. And I think that's kind of awesome that you get those opportunities to kind of choose. But I would say, yeah, definitely get full experience so that you get all the content, all the narrative, all the choices, all the options, and all the ways to play Cyberpunk, as that is the best way to experience this magnificent world that I absolutely love and adore. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? So we've got a lot of other stuff to kind of talk about and go over for Cyberpunk here. So yeah, the main story, very lengthy. Your V, whatever V you create, and you improve your abilities and skills, and you craft, and you build up, and you get stronger, and you augment yourself, and get really cool cyberware in that, and, you know, you go on a heist thing, and something goes wrong, and then eventually you end up with your buddy, Johnny Silverhand Keanu in your head, and you've got to figure out how to deal with that in your own way, and try to survive all of the trials that come with that. So the story is really expansive and very well done and filled to the brim with content and narrative. And for like a role-playing game that's a first-person shooter, it is amazingly in-depth and detailed. And then it goes further with the Phantom Liberty expansion, where you run into Idris Elba's secret mysterious read, and then there's also Songbirds in there. Is fantastic. Great interview on the channel, just saying it. And yeah, that's kind of the style there, is interacting with these characters and seeing, you know, their issues and dealing with that and going on these missions, and then your choices will actually change the story. And then there's tons of side missions, like Night City is massive. You've got a very detailed futuristic city, and then you've got like a deserty outback, and there's all these different districts in Pacifica, and there's Dogtown, which we just were at. Tons of side missions. I've done everything this game. This is like a 80-hour save, 84-hour save. Like, I played through it on Stadia, I played through it on like Xbox, and then I played a bit more of it on PlayStation, and then I was like, oh, cloud saves are out, and then you're able to carry your cloud saves across experiences, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So you can have your saves carried across the versions of Cyberpunk 2077, which is quite wonderful. Is that just me, or is that like way lower res than it usually is? That is weirdly low res. I've never seen that low res before. That really, that sticks out weird to me. So yeah, the update 2.2 was kind of really focused on kind of personalization. It was basically a thank you for supporting our game. We know it took a long time to get here, but the game's in a good situation now. And, you know, it's a little bit of a reward for diving in and appreciating what this had to offer. This is new. I've never had it. A crash? Wow. Well, that's a bit odd. Usually Cyberpunk doesn't crash for me. Who am I kidding? There's always a technical issue whenever I go to do a video of Cyberpunk. Always entertains me. Yeah, we'll just keep talking through this. I don't care. So it was a personalization update. It was basically them being like, hey, we've done all these updates over the years. The next gen update, which is obviously current gen at this point. We've done all these fixes, all these bug adjustments. We've enhanced the game. We never got New Game Plus or like a basically FOV slider, but you know, I think we got a lot of good stuff on this game, and they did a great job, you know, enhancing it and delivering the Cyberpunk experience we want. You know, they added like a metro at one point, which I don't get the point of the metro, but a lot of people from Europe were like, "Oh, the metro is life," and I was just like, you know, there's Metro Exodus, I guess, but I don't know. The obsession for that was a bit weird. But yeah, this update was really cool because it really did change little personal details, fun little things. And if they do another big update, I'm sure I'll be back taking a look at it. But this should be my definitive video on it. Like, my last review basically could have been 2, but I was like, you know, we should do something for the start of 2025, and basically it was like a little update. It's just a nice excuse to come in here and, you know, talk about Cyberpunk. That was what I was mostly getting at, is it makes sense. So, for part of the personalization update of this game, because this is where we were going to before it crashed, was that you can call in your car. So you see some cars are just car icons, but some of them have like a paint symbol. So if you call in your car, you can actually adjust the coloring and the paint of your vehicle, which can help you escape and evade the police, because this game added a whole system into it with the next gen, again, current gen update, where basically, you know, now there's like combat with your vehicles. You can pull out your gun while you're drive around, you can fight people while you're driving. There's a whole vehicular combat, and then there's the cops can get all angry, and there's a whole cop system similar to like Grand Theft Auto in this now, because people were like, oh, the cops just stand there, which, you know, to be fair, they did. But yeah, you can kind of color your vehicle. You can hold left on the D-pad, and you can change things like your lights, the colors. It's basically RGBing your vehicle, and you can save tones and everything like that, have different color ranges. It's really, really quite expansive. Honestly, like, genuinely expansive. And very detailed, and it just allows you to personalize your car. And personalize your life in, well, Cyberpunk. Which is great. Like, honestly, it's nice to see quality of life improvements like this that make the game better. And like I said, it's mostly just like a small little thing. They used to do this all the time when it came to, you know, smaller free DLCs, and this game got some of those too, but now it's just kind of like Cyberpunk Definitive Edition, which is awesome. And I'd love for them to take it further. Like, realistically, I really do think they should have just kept doing, like, expansions. I know they're working on the sequel, but it would have been really cool to have like a big expansion every year, every other year or something that just added more to this world, because I feel like it's so ripe for doing cool stuff with. And I feel like there's so much more they could do with it. And yeah, a bit of a shame that I mean, they did a great job. Like, it's an amazing game now and everyone can enjoy it, but you get what I'm talking about. They also added like the dating stuff, so the smart frames aren't working. Oh, come on, that was the whole thing. They worked on the PS5 Pro version. Why aren't they working here? Okay, so the smart frames are supposed to have pictures that you take in the photo mode, and then they're supposed to show up here, and it's like you were supposed to come in here, it was supposed to be all these funny photos of the ladies that I took, and yeah, that's quite a bit of a bummer, honestly. Yeah, it was supposed to be really funny. It must be just like an Xbox issue thing. Oh, none of the photos are there. Oh, that's weird, considering I think I took the photos on the Xbox version, put them up there. Anyways, doesn't matter. They're supposed to be funny photos. I was gonna be like, yeah, you could bring like people that you know for like dates and stuff, so you could like, that was a whole system they added at one point, where you could call up like your main person, like Judy, and you can just have Judy come by, you can go on a date and hang out and cuddle and all that. It's I don't know, kind of silly, but it's a nice little fun touch. Another big part of the personalization was the adjustments to your character. So they've added a plethora of different change appearance options. So you can do more in-depth things like your styles of herring options, your color ranges, all these new color stuff, all these new eyes. all these different aesthetics, facial scar stuff, so all kinds of new ways to change how your character looks. They actually really went in depth for that sort of thing. Like they really went further. And again, this character model looks really good. Yeah, seriously. But that's a big part of the update is like the visual aesthetic of personalization. It was just like it's something that you would get from modding this game or something like that, but it's just more out of the game, out of the box, personalization. And then you can also basically kind of do like randomization too. So if you want to randomize how kind of like your character looks, you just get random options if you just want to keep playing, roll the dice and see what you end up with. And I think that's kind of neat too. But yeah, Cyberpunk, they've added a lot to it. I don't think we necessarily reached the full potential of what we might have gotten beforehand in terms of like some online stuff and that, but I think they've really given us the ideal version of what this game, what we kind of expected, I would say, at launch. I'm more than happy with it at this point. I think it looks fantastic. I think it's filled to the brim with like activities and story and choice and thrilling action. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's everything that I wanted in a Cyberpunk world. And now I'm mostly just sitting here being like, I've done everything in this game multiple times over. I have nothing left to do. And that's like a little sad to me because like I want to do more and there's just nothing more for me to enjoy. But if you're playing this game for the first time or looking to play for the first time, you're going to be in for such a surprise. If you're revisiting this game or you played it and you're like, okay, now I'm going to really be serious about trying it after the video, go ahead. It's going to be awesome. Seriously, you're going to love this. It looks clean. I should mention, I should have mentioned earlier too, outside of, I think I mentioned HDR. But if not, HDR is in this. But there's also FSR, which is the shimmers. I think I mentioned that. Because it does have like a shimmery effect to it. Yeah, it's weird. After this last update, I can't pull this thing off of this thing anymore. It's weird. It's very, very strange. Because I would always come here and I'd just like pull this gun. And then I would use it to like destroy these guys. No matter, it's alright. I'll use the monowire. It's fun. But I love this game. I think it's great. I love the reactive worlds, the places you can go, the vehicles you can gather, the characters you can meet, the weird story events that can happen, the twists, the turns, everything like that. Apparently the crashes that maybe have been introduced on the Series X side of things. I don't know if that's like a console thing or something, but I don't typically have crashes in Cyberpunk. Huh. Twice. I know. I get some crashes in other games, but typically never Cyberpunk. That's weird. Hello, Night City. I think it's more Good Morning, Night City, or whatever, but you get what I'm talking about. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, and the music's great, and the characters look cool. Whatever profoundly intriguing experience this game is. Honestly, definitely play it if you haven't. I think you'll have a good time. Hopefully it won't have crashes. I don't know why we're having that. It's weird too because the photos are missing. Maybe it's just like a thing of the cloud coming over from like the PlayStation side of stuff. I don't know. Oh, loads fast too, so we can get around pretty quickly. Yeah, I think if you've been waiting, it's a great experience. I swear there's not usually crashes, but yeah, so many side missions, main missions, companion type story stuff you can do, crazy battles, weird twists and turns, surprises. This game's got a little bit of action for everyone, and I think you will be floored by it at this point, and I think you will have a crazy time diving around, shooting stuff, blasting things, meeting cool characters, and just going on like one of gaming's great journeys. This is definitely one of those long-term games I'll be talking about, and I'm just sitting here in complete anticipation of the sequel. And honestly, I doubt we're even done covering Cyberpunk. I'm sure there'll be some kind of weird excuse to come back and play more of this. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed 2025 look at Cyberpunk 2077. on Series X.